Hello, dear Murnyashki with you me. It's been a long time since you've been asking me to tell you about the changes in vampirism fashion that have occurred since I last reviewed this mod. And so the cancer on the mountain whistled, the fried rooster pecked, and the rain on Thursday passed. So I'm finally fulfilling your request. In this video, I'm going to tell you about the mysterious 15th level of vampires, and also look at some little things that I forgot to mention last time. Who has not watched? Be sure to watch first the first two videos dedicated to the fashion of vampirism, which describes in detail the mechanics of motto. The link is up there, and you will find duplicate links in the description under this video. Well, next time we will look at how the mod has changed due to the transition to newer versions of the main, where there are already new mechanics of villages and a lot of new things in general. So, we start with what remains undisclosed for the version of the main 1.12.2, which is still very relevant. Namely, the 15th level of a vampire. This is not a fake at all. There really is such a level, and he gives us an extra point in the end, which we can spend on the vampire's abilities. Well, it's not so easy to get this level. To do this, you need to pull off a whole series of events, among which there are such entertainment activities as a walk to the inter and the murder of a vampire baron of the 6th level. But let's talk about everything in order. So, first of all, you will need to get hold of the Book of Vampires. This is probably the simplest. As you remember, these books can be found as loot in various chests, and also occasionally they fall out of vampires, but this is very rare, so use a weapon with the appropriate charka to increase the chance of a drop. Then with this book you need to go to the vampire forest, where there is an increased chance of meeting a vampire baron. But we don't need a baron of any kind, but of the 5th level. Everyone who is weaker is no good. In the baron, you need to right-click, holding the book in your hand, and then he will turn into a baron of the 6th level. If you found a few books and hope to grab a weaker baron with them, then break off. You're not going to make it. In general, the baron of the 6th level should be mercilessly killed right there. A bottle of special blood of purity 6 out of 5 will fall out of it. After that, we need to redo our infusion altar, aka the infusion altar, a little bit. More precisely, not the altar itself, but the columns surrounding it. We need 4 columns of 3 blocks in height, and we will have to fill them with endurtic bricks. Actually, because of them, it was necessary to drive to Ender, kill a dragon and all that. If you just right-click on the altar, it will say that you cannot use the altar at this level. Well, it seems like you have reached your limit, that is, the 14th level, but in fact it is not so. For such a serious ritual, it is necessary to dress up accordingly, so be sure to wear a vampire raincoat. Now you need to put the sacrificial items on the chatterbox, but it won't open just like that. Take a bottle of blood in your hand, and now right-click on the altar. The interface will open for you, and you will see the very slots where you need to put your sacrifices. We will need 1 vampire blood of purity 6, 64 human hearts, and 1 vampire book. Now exit the interface, and right-click on the altar. And then we will see the usual animation for the vampire level, after which we discover that we have become a vampire of the 15th level and, accordingly, received an additional skill point. But if you think that such a feint with ears is available only to vampires, then you are mistaken. In fact, vampire hunters can also get an additional level. They also do it more than once. However, there are common details for both rituals, in particular, the same pure blood of the 6th level. It should be noted that it will be more difficult for a hunter to get it, because unlike vampires, they will be attacked in the vampire forest. Wender will also have to drag herself after the same internic bricks. With the help of them, you need to build a new research table for hunters. To do this, you will need 5 bricks, laid out according to the helmet principle, and on top of Ender's shelf, a book and vampire fangs. Such a table will be called a strange research table. In this table, we need to create a guide for a hunter of the 15th level, 1 vanilla book, 64 fangs, 1 bottle of our special blood extracted from the ill-fated baron, and 1 vampire book will go to him. The received manual must be handed to the vampire hunter trainer with the right mouse button. But if you just go to him with your guidance, he will send you away. Of course, if you want to get a higher degree, please comply. That is, you need to fulfill the dress code, put on a hunter's hat. That's it. Now you can talk to the teacher about the case. For free. He will not give the level again. You will have to fork out. From you, he will rip off no less than 64 iron bars, 64 gold bars, and before the completion, you need to put him a record, well, that is a manual, and press the level up button. And that's it. The exam is accepted. After the usual promotion procedure, you will see that you have become a hunter of the 15th level. I don't know about you, but it seems to me personally that it's cheaper for vampires to get levels. But let's go further. In previous videos, I forgot to mention a little book of enchantments called The Vampire Killer, and you have already asked about it more than once. This little book is not in the fashion tab, but in the tab with vanilla weapons, and its original name is VMP Slayer. For those who do not understand what the jam is, I will explain. The joint here is in an illiterate translation. In fact, the book should not be called a vampire killer, but a vampire slayer. And as you may have already realized, it is not intended for vampire weapons, but for hunting, and is needed mainly in order to improve the effectiveness of pitchforks. In the fight against vampires, you don't necessarily need a book to put this cup on the villas. With a certain amount of luck, you can get a cup through the enchantment table. But as for putting it on other types of weapons, here it is only with the help of a book and an anvil. However, I have not checked how effectively the charm works on other types of weapons, and I suggest that you personally check this case and share the results in the comments under this video. In general, I want to make a lyrical digression and draw your attention to the fact that with the Russian translation for the fashion in vampirism, the situation is directly deplorable. What are only a bloody grinding machine, a bloody sewing? I'm not talking about a bunch of arrows. This is if you didn't guess. So they translated a bloody chopper, or a meat grinder, if you like, a bloody sieve. It's also a filter and a bolt holder, respectively. I honestly admit that it personally bombs me every time I see such translations. Gentlemen, the so-called translators, we kindly ask you not to try to combine business with pleasure. I understand that you probably think it's cool to start learning English and messing with your favorite mods at the same time, but by doing so you are only doing a disservice to everyone. Believe me, the rest of the people are no dumber than you, and are probably able to drive an unfamiliar English word into the Google Translator line. If you are not able to connect to words in your native language, Google the translation, and also do not know how to select suitable synonyms of words, and you also have a little bit of elementary logic, then do not take up such a thing, but rather learn first. There is no need to amuse your ass and make such clumsy translations, and vice versa. The guys who know the languages at the proper level. If you have the mood and time, would it be nice if you offered the mod developer your competent help with translation? I think many fashion fans would be grateful to you. I sincerely believe in the Russian-speaking audience, and I know that there are many cool, capable guys among you who can do a variety of things, including translations, competently, efficiently, and not carelessly, but fuck off, as they say. Well, we're done with the sad stuff. Now let's talk about those small details that I forgot to mention in previous videos. First of all, I forgot to tell you that coffins in which vampires sleep can be painted. To do this, you need to take the die in your hand and right-click it on the coffin. As you can see, the interior upholstery of the coffin is changing, and this mechanics has not gone away in newer versions of the mod. Secondly, I forgot to tell you about this garlic bread. It is made from ordinary bread and garlic, and saturates a little better than ordinary bread, about 3 bones of hunger. I didn't notice that it gave any special advantages, like it drove away vampires or something, but it definitely removes the effect of cis-binaries vampiris. So if you need to be treated urgently, and you still haven't got a cow and a bucket, you can use it as an alternative medicine tool. Well, if you are a vampire and you manage to toot such bread, then you will get the garlic effect from it, and with a high probability you will die. And of course it's impossible not to mention that since I was analyzing the mechanics of vampirism fashion for the last time, many items have changed models, textures. If you compare with the previous videos, you will notice that the same human hearts and vampire souls looked very different then. Now they, like many other subjects, in my opinion, have become much more interesting. And perhaps another important thing that you should know is that Vampirism for Minecraft 1.12.2 will not be updated anymore. At best, you can hope for some small tank fixes, and then only if the developer is in a good mood. So for the version of mine 1.12.2, everything I told you about the Vampirism mod will remain true and unchanged. Will give the end of centuries. If you prefer to play on this version, then the review guides from Mirunyashka will serve you as a sure help. Just in case, I remind you about the links to the previous videos. They are both just for the version of Lane 1.12.2. Well, that's all our acquaintance with the old vampirism. I hope my video helped you somehow. If this is really the case, then it's just wonderful. Next time we'll look at what the mod developers have brought in connection with the transition to newer versions of the main, how vampirism is now combined with villages, as well as, spoiler, how to get slaves into your service. If you liked my video, be sure to put your finger up and subscribe to the channel and all related groups in social media. Links, as always, in the description. And that's it for today, my dear Murnyashki. See you soon. Bye-bye.